Hi everyone, it's Joy here, and I'm excited to share with you the beautiful Butterfly Wishes card kit. Now in the card kit, of course you get this great package that says Butterfly Wishes. It's a great bag. It's got a zipper on top, holds all of your goodies. You have the Butterflies stamp and stencil combo. These are fantastic. So here are the two stencils that go with that stamp. Then you have two other stamp sets. You have like a sentiment stamp set, and then you have like a build your butterfly stamp set, and that comes in the kit along with some coordinating dies. You have some great envelope stickers and some envelopes that come in the card kit, and beautiful rhinestones. That's all of the card kit. Now besides that, I'm using Spearmint, Pink Champagne, and Sugar Cube cardstock. I'm using an acrylic block, the tag Stacklets 2, the linen background, foam sticky circles. I'm using Sugar Cube, Guava, Pink Champagne, and Spearmint ink, some liquid watercolor shimmer, and blender brushes. I'm starting with a piece of Spearmint cardstock, and that is cut, it's an A2 size piece, so 5.5 by 4.25. I have that in my MISTI. I did take out the foam insert for my MISTI, and I'm using the linen background. This is a red rubber stamp, so it is thicker. I'm inking that up with Sugar Cube ink, and I'm going to stamp this about 3 times onto my cardstock. I want to get a really good impression, so I'm inking it up good, just going back and forth trying to get all of the areas. This linen background stamp set is so pretty, and it really makes your cardstock beautiful, and the Sugar Cube and Spearmint colors together are so pretty. Now also in my MISTI, I have a piece of Sugar Cube cardstock, and here is that butterfly stamp from the Butterfly Stamp and Stencil combo. I am going to ink this up with Spearmint ink. Now for both of my stampings, I added a little bit of adhesive behind my piece of cardstock to hold it in place. Since this is a full background stamp, I can't use a magnet. So I'm inking up these little butterfly bodies a few times with that Spearmint ink, getting a really good inked impression. And isn't this so fun? And then we're going to take the stencils to this and make a beautiful background. So now there's 2 stencils, and they are labeled 1 and 2. So I'm starting with number 1, which just happens to be their bottom 2 wings. I'm going to tape that down on my grid paper. I have my piece of paper lined up in the center, and then it has some marks to line up your 6x6 stencil. I am coming in and starting with the Pink Champagne for the lighter color, and I'm going light on some wings and darker on some wings, and I'm just kind of light and dark over the whole area. This is going to give the stenciled look a little more variation, almost like you're using more than just 2 colors. Now I'm coming in with the second stencil, lining that up, and as you can see here, this is for the top wings. I'm taping that down, coming in with the Guava, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going lighter in some areas and darker in some areas, again giving the illusion that we have more variance in colors than we actually used. So I'm going to finish inking that up, and when we pull this away, we've got these beautiful butterflies with the spearmint bodies and the beautiful pink wings. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going to be doing some die cutting, and I am using the tag Stacklets 2. I'm going to die cut this out twice actually. I'm not making a background with this, although that would just be gorgeous. I just decided to use some tags for this design. Now I do have that piece of Spearmint cardstock. I trimmed that down a little bit smaller. It's about 2 inches smaller at the top. So this is going to be adhered to a Sugar Cube card base. I'm going to adhere that Spearmint piece down at the bottom. I added some string to that top tag. It really kind of matches the Spearmint. I just used a hole punch, punched a hole, and ran some thread through that. I'm lining this up at the top there, and I'm just going to trim that off because I want this tucked under the Pink Champagne strip. It's about 1/4 inch of a strip, and I just added some adhesive behind that, and that's going to cover up that area at the top. Now I have the 3 butterfly die cuts. I cut them out of Sugar Cube cardstock. I placed that in my MISTI, and I'm lining up the little bodies from the stamp set of making butterflies. So I have the little bodies. I'm stamping that with the Spearmint ink. And I'm making sure they're lined up before I put the die cuts back into the negative space. Then I could stamp the bodies, remove that, and now I'm going to line up the top wings, the upper wings of the butterflies. I'm going to stamp that again. So I'm stamping onto my grid paper through the negative space of the die cuts. And I'm only using pink champagne for both wings this time. Once I know that that's lined up, I'm going to replace the die cut pieces and stamp those wings again. So this makes this really easy by doing your die cutting first and your stamping after. So I'm removing the die cut pieces once more, adding the bottom wings, stamping those again to make sure they're lined up in that negative space. So technically it's stamping on my grid paper in the back. Once it's lined up, I'm going to put my die cut pieces back in, inking those up once more with the pink champagne, and then we've got the great images. Now on the same stamp set, there are decorative stamps to decorate these butterfly wings. So I'm using the Guava ink to decorate, being that we just stamped these images with the pink champagne. I'm keeping the color scheme the same throughout this whole card, whether we did the stenciling or the stamping, it's the same colors. So you can see there's lines, larger and smaller lines, larger and smaller polka dots, and you can really make some beautiful butterflies with this little stamp set that comes in your kit. Now that that's done, I'm going to add a little bling to this. I'm using the liquid watercolors in Shimmer. I just squeezed a little bit of that out into a dish. I have a really tiny paintbrush, and I'm adding it to the darker stamped images, those decorative images that we just did, that we stamped with Guava ink. I'm just adding that to the stamped images and also to the bodies of the butterflies. And this is just going to give a little something extra when it's all said and done. When I'm done with that, we are going to stamp the sentiment. This sentiment is from the sentiment stamp set in your kit, and there's tons of great little sentiments, but I am using the Happy Mother's Day. I love the text and the font of this. It really is so, so pretty. I am stamping that with Spearmint ink on the top white part of this card. And now we're going to add those butterflies to it. I am using the foam sticky circles. I wanted these butterflies to have dimension and to look like they are just flying around the top of this card. So once I get those adhered, then I'm going to glue down that string that's coming from the top tag. And I'm using a little bit of liquid glue for that. And I'm just going to hold that in place so it just looks like it's just naturally has fallen there. I already laid out the rhinestones from the card kit, and I'm just using some liquid glue to adhere those down. These are really beautiful. They just kind of remind me of diamonds. They're so shiny and shimmery. So I'm going to finish off adding one more, and when that's done, this card is complete. This is such a beautiful Mother's Day card, and I just can't even imagine how many cards you can make from this kit. The butterflies are gorgeous, the rhinestones are gorgeous, the stamps are so much fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.